everyone, Christina Werner here. Welcome to another video for the Holiday Card Series 2021. Today is day 7, and we're going to be making a really fun card. I used one of the color combos from my ink combos guide that I created with Dana, linked down below so you can download it for free. I used one of those color combos as inspiration for what watercolors to use from Concord and Ninth. And then I paired it up with a really fun stamp set from Honeybee. So let's get into it.
I really wanted to use the Jingle All the Way stamp set from Honeybee for today's card. But before I get to the stamping, I'm going to create a watercolor background. I'm first taping my watercolor paper to a hardboard. This is some Fabriano Artistico Extra White watercolor paper. I've taped it to a board with blue painter's tape, and then I'm putting some liquid watercolors into this porcelain palette. The color palette I'm using today, or the combo I'm using today, is from the Ink Combos Guide for Holiday 2021. This is a free download from me and Dana. The link is down below in the video description. The colors for Concord and Ninth are Evergreen, Sorbet, Grapefruit, Stardust, and Sea Glass. And since I have their watercolors that coordinate with their ink colors, I thought I would try it out on this background. Before I start painting, I'm going to wet my entire piece of watercolor paper, and it's just easiest to do that with a spray bottle. So I used a distress sprayer for that. So the paper is already wet, so when I bring in the color, it's going to be very soft and move around. This is the color Sea Glass, and as I've used these liquid watercolors from Concord and Ninth more and more, the thing that I have to remind myself is the colors that I know from their cardstock and inks. These paints don't look like those colors until they're dry. So they look a little bit different. They've just got some different tones, some different intensities. But once things dry, you'll recognize those colors. So right now I'm looking at this going, this does not look like that ink color, the ink combo guide. This doesn't look like it at all. But you'll see once things are dry that they start to look a little bit different. So I added Stardust and Grapefruit and Sorbet, and this is the color Evergreen, which is actually a really good intense green, but mixed in with Sorbet next to it, it started doing some weird things. And I was concerned it might do that because red and green are complementary colors. So when you mix them, you will get brown. And that's exactly what was happening on my watercolor background. I'm going to hit this with my heat tool. You can see that Sea Glass dries back to that beautiful aqua blue shade, and the Sorbet dries back to like that nice kind of corally shade that we love. And at this point, I decided that grayish brown that it was mixing into was just a little too gray and brown for me. So I grabbed the color Peacock. And when I was actually coming up with this color combo and looking at the inspiration photo, I really debated between Peacock or Evergreen. So when it comes to watercolors, I think Peacock is a slightly better solution or a different option. But you could definitely swap out Evergreen and Peacock when you're using the inks or the cardstocks, things like that. You can kind of play with it. And this ink combo guide is just a guide. It's not a rule. So if you are using the PDFs and the color combos and you decide that those colors just aren't jiving for you, or maybe you don't have all of those colors in ink pads, no worries at all. Feel free to substitute and make your own changes. It's completely up to you what color combos you use. So after I had that initial painting, I went over the top and added more of these colors directly over the areas where I had them before. And this just intensifies the colors and gives them more opportunity to mix and kind of move around. Adding more of that peacock up at the top, making sure I don't have any harsh edges. And at this point, I put some more of that Stardust on, trying to mix that color down. And I added a few more little bits of the peacock because I didn't like that kind of harsh edge I was getting up there in that top corner. So that's just going over it with that color is going to soften it. I then tipped my board upside down, tried to encourage some of those colors to move a little bit. And then I grabbed my heat tool and started to dry this. Now, when you hit it with your heat tool, it's going to stop any of the blending. So make sure you have the blend exactly where you want it. And now you can see where these liquid watercolors look like the actual inks and the cardstock from the Concord and Ninth color line. I think this looks absolutely beautiful. The colors, I just fell in love with this background. I want to make 5 more of this one, and they'll probably all look different because that's how watercolor is. So now that I have my background, I'm going to cut it down to be a little bit smaller than an A7 card. So an A7 card is 5 by 7, and I'm using the A7 layers dies from Waffle Flower to just cut this down so that I'll have a little bit of a border on my card. I ran that through my die cutting machine, and now I have the perfect cut piece for the background of my card. I put that inside my MISTI stamp positioning tool, and now I'm going to break out that Jingle All the Way stamp set from Honeybee. I'm going to put the Jingle All the Way greeting near the bottom, and then the stamp set has these like little snowflakes on, kind of like on a little line, like they're dropping from the ceiling. It really reminds me of one of the hallways in the White House. I was invited to the White House back in 2016. My friend Jennifer McGuire and I, we both went. She was invited as well. And in one of the hallways, we were there. I have to back up. We were there to view the holiday decor that Michelle Obama had instigated. And all of the volunteers had come into the White House and they decorated all of the rooms. And there was this one particular hallway, and it had these snowflakes and everything just coming from the ceiling. And it was so absolutely beautiful. And that's what these little snowflakes on lines remind me of. Such a fun memory. I'm going to put a picture of that hallway on screen right now so you guys can see it. It was the most spectacular, glistening, glittery, just beautiful, ethereal decor that I have ever seen. It was such an experience to go and be there for that. And it was so special. I'm so grateful that we were invited to do that. And it's a great memory with my friend Jennifer too. So you may have noticed as I was talking about the White House that those lines weren't long enough. They didn't extend all the way to the top edge of my watercolor paper. So I turned over those same stamps and just extended the line by stamping it some more from the other end. And that gave it a little bit more length just to get all the way up to the top. So I repeated some of these stamps, filled in the gaps, and added some more on either side. And then I used silver embossing powder. The silver embossing powder I used is Sterling by Brutus Monroe. And I just sprinkled that on, tapped off the excess, and then hit it with my heat tool. So that finishes the card design. I just have to put it on my card base now. So I was very generous with the foam tape and then placed it on the top of my 5x7 card base made out of Neenah Classic Crest 110-pound cardstock. Thanks so much for joining me. I love how this background turned out, and I love the glistening silver snowflakes as well. I love how those colors turned out on that watercolor background, and I'm glad I kind of swapped out the evergreen for peacock, because when I look at the original inspiration for that color combo, it is kind of between a dark green and like a dark teal. It's somewhere in there, and I think that dark teal of the color peacock went better with the watercolor. What do you guys think? Are you more of a purist, like let's go ahead and keep the combos the way they are, or are you more flexible and willing to kind of swap out colors? Let me know in the comments. For today's question about the holidays and Christmas, I want to know what your favorite holiday cookie is. Is it a sugar cookie? Is it a ginger snap? Tell me, what is your favorite cookie? I really love a good snickerdoodle, which is not particularly a holiday cookie, but my sister Marissa makes wonderful snickerdoodles. We had a recipe in a kid's cookbook growing up, and she used to make that, and then she sort of adapted it over the years. She's an amazing chef.
and she's adapted it and makes the most amazing snickerdoodles. Everyone who's ever had them just absolutely loves them. So I really love those. So coming up on Wednesday, I will not be live here on YouTube. I've got some other stuff planned and I won't be able to be live that day. So please come back for a regular edited video. I'll be posting it on Wednesday for day 8 of the holiday card series. Thanks for watching.